By the dawn's early light, we are back.
Day after the 4th?
Day after 4th, and it's early. So it was almost a double entendre, kind of.
How?
Well, it was referencing the song.
Oh, the dawn's early
and
light.
It's early in the morning
when
for us to record.
You are 100% correct. When I hear the term double entendre,
you're wanting it to be like a middle school awkward
it very much,
yeah.
That's what my brain goes immediately. And I'm trying to figure out how that happened in that conversation.
Like you remembering like the ketchup and rubber buns joke?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I got you. I feel you on that. This is the Ball Cart Show, the Esports Podcast.
For the Esports Collector.
I'm Jason Otero.
I'm Gary LeMaster.
And we're back, baby. Another week, another episode. We have some scandals, some stories, some hobby news, all the things to tickle your eardrums as you are getting your weekend started wherever you're listening to this. If we pulled it up, there's statistics on, they're watching you guys. The internet is watching you. And it's telling us where you're from. And we were all over the world.
Yeah, it was very interesting to watch where the percentages of our downloads are from. And I think every continent except continental Africa.
Continental Africa and South America.
And South America. Yeah. We don't have any listeners there, but everywhere else, like we're Europe, we're Australia, we're Asia, we're here in the U.S., North America.
All over. Chillicothe, Ohio.
Hazard, Kentucky.
Hazard, Kentucky. A lot of downloads.
Tell them Duke
Hazard.
boys we said hi.
I want to know who is that. It was a large percentage, so...
Yeah.
Maybe you just have to do a trade night in Hazard, Kentucky.
Yeah, just tell the Duke boys we said. I wanted to get that joke out again because I think you blew past it.
No, I heard it, and so did everybody else, and because we've heard it so many times.
Okay. Sorry.
But no, Dukes of Hazard, Kentucky.
It's a thing.
That is, So thank you for that, Gary.
I just got the look of shut up.
No, you're allowed to talk. I'm just allowed to stare at you judgmentally. So, good week for both of us.
Yeah, I mean, I got here today to podcast, and you're in the process of pulling orders, and then you hit the print button for label printing, and I proceeded to watch about 80 labels just fly out of your printer.
I am becoming a full-time shipper.
Yeah.
That's what's happening.
You got to be spending 2-3 hours a day when you're doing that, right?
No, not quite that long, but it will be there at some point. I think it'll get to the point where it's half of my day. And then at that point, it's time to consider hiring
somebody. Yeah.
AKA child labor upstairs
in the summer.
Yeah. So yeah, it'll be interesting to figure that out. But yeah, stuff's flying, so that's always good to go. And I'm just having to buy a lot of cards. What's weird is how much I'm buying and how quickly it's moving through.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, I think I've got, and you're like, oh, I need to buy a lot more.
Yeah.
A lot more.
Yeah, the churn on the low end stuff has been really fun for me to watch because, again, we said this last week. A lot of the stuff that you guys are ripping and not tossing as base, but you're also going, when is this ever going to sell? I mean, I probably ought to keep it because it's color or it's a rookie or whatever. There's a market for it. You just got to get it in front of enough eyeballs.
Mm-hmm. And you'd be okay taking a small slice. So, you run the numbers on it. I guess we'll just jump right in. If you haven't heard, we've been talking about it a ton. I'm doing the Card Dealer Pro duplex scanner, high volume, low margin. So if I sell a card for $1.99, which is, a lot of your like star-based rookies or like if I have some early 90s Dream Team basketball, vintage, just set builder stuff that's like EX condition, VG, if it's not a star, if I sell that for $1.99, by the time I ship it, I do free shipping. By the time I get charged, which you get 2 final value fees from eBay, I'm making about $1.
Why do you get 2 final value fees?
Interesting you asked that. I just spent a little bit of time on the phone with them yesterday. So there's a percentage-based fee based off a category, which for baseball is like 12.5%, 13 somewhere around there. But then there's also a final value fee for any item. Now, most of us never notice this because it's 30 cents under $10 or 20, and then it's 40 cents over that. So most things that we sell, you don't.
But when you're selling a $2 card, it's 15%.
So you have to think about it like that way. There's a math on it. Now, there's a lot of cards I'm selling that aren't just $2. There's cards I'm selling for $200. There's cards that are selling for $5, $10. But your bread and butter, like the mindset I'm trying to have with this is, how many $2 cards do I need to sell to sustain it?
And can I make 60 cents a piece on those?
Yeah. So it's a grind. But it's. But
I mean,
you're
doing a few $100s a day.
Yeah, the average sale price on a card right now, I think the number goes down over time with volume, is about $6 a card. Is where it's averaging out. So But then you have weeks where a couple, and there's stuff I'm just building out. Like I just built a whole store category of cheap slabs. So if you go to the bulk card store, click on cheap slabs. There's probably 40 in there, 50 in there right now. They're like $20, $25. Cool Bowman color, or hey, this is a good player, but it's an 8 or a 9.
Right.
And there's some $5 slabs. There's slabs you're gonna get shipped for less than $10.
Right.
So, but yeah, trying to build that out. It's been keeping me busy. But it's been really good. Meanwhile, you've been doing the opposite and just like, so yesterday, Gary, and we'll get into the story, but he sends me a text like, hey man, I just hit these 2 cards in a break, which, a year ago I'd been like, oh man, that's really good. But now I didn't give him the reaction he wanted. And he's like, what the hell, man? Like,
there was no reaction at all. Like I told you what they were, and then nothing. For like 3 hours.
And I said, what? I think I'm just desensitized because you're buying so many really nice cards every week now that that's not gonna move. Just tell a story because I want to talk about it.
So I finally broke down this week because I needed to send a couple cards in to get graded. So I broke down and paid for the PSA membership. So now I'll probably be utilizing them pretty consistently, which on a lot of levels makes me sad, but at the end of the day, it's just where the hobby is, and you either embrace it or you're fighting an uphill battle all the time, and I'm getting too old to fight uphill battles. So part of that is you get $125 worth of Fanatics Live credit, and you get like $100 worth of Loop credit, but the Loop credit comes like $20 a month, so I won't even worry about that for a while. But the $125 in Fanatics Live credit was instantaneous.
Yeah.
So I go on Fanatics Live yesterday and decide, hey, well, it's a holiday, and I'm technically supposed to be working, but we were dead as a doornail, so I was just at home chilling for the vast majority of the day. So I was like, yeah, let me jump in here and find a repack product because I didn't want to get into standard. Everybody was breaking Tier 1 yesterday because it was release day, and I didn't want to mess with Tier 1 stuff at inflated prices. So I find a repack break, and it's football. And I was like, this looks interesting. So I jump in, and I end up getting 3 spots. I ended up spending $70 of my own money, which I'm annoyed that I did, and I'll tell that part of the story in a minute. But the teams that I hit were the Titans, the Commanders, and I don't even remember who the other team was. As soon as I saw that I hit the Titans, I wasn't mad because I know Will Levis stuff is pretty prominent in repacks right now because repackers are buying his stuff. And I did. I hit a PSA 10 orange laser prism Will Levis and a raw Julio Jones kaboom from when he was with the Titans for the year and a half. So my $70 turned into about $450 worth of cards. So that was a cool experience. But breakers, if you're listening, I realize that you are trying to make a living, but don't screw your guys over. Like, so this breaker lost my business forever, even though I hit 2 nice cards in his break. Because one of the things they were doing in this break yesterday was whoever had the highest bid on any spot got their own personal box of one of their repack products called the Chase. And I bid, all these spots were going for, the lowest I saw was $27 and the highest was like $60. And I bid one spot all the way up to $85. And that happened to be the spot that I got the Commanders with. But I didn't care because I was wanting that personal box. Well, this dude waits till the very last spot is going and then starts making a huge deal about how somebody's going to get a steal on this free personal box. And that should never go for that money. Those retail for $180. It was just like going on and on and on. So then that last one got run up to like $240 or $250. And that was kind of crappy, in my opinion. That's just not how you treat people that are spending money with you. And what really sucked is the card that came out of that box was a Justin Jefferson Colored Blast. So it was just like the double whammy of getting waxed. That being said, I did get 2 really cool cards that I'll make plenty of money on for $70.
Yeah. So if I remember correctly, you and I were talking about this last week. And it's interesting to me because Whatnot popped off. Then there were some customer service issues. I think there were a lot of people that had an aversion to like the backyard break style of breaking, especially people our age. I don't want to be yelled at when somebody hits a $30 card. I really don't. And after you do it for a while, it's going to sound snobby. I'm not trying to, but if you've collected it all with the modern stuff in the last year, like social media is just covered in hits. Like it really takes something for me to be like, wow.
Yeah.
Right. And for me, it's more like the relic stuff or like an auto that had like when that Votto you picked up with the Nike
love
swoosh.
to see somebody pull a repack product together that is nothing but old school inserts and color from like
a game used
98
product.
to 2015.
Yeah. I would like game used cards with IP autos authenticated. I think that'd be sick. And they'd probably be able to really juice that because it's a PC product. That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, the only part about it that I hate is the IP.
Well, authentic slabs. Everything gets sent as authentic.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. So it's in a PSA. Anyway, but you get kind of like to the point where so people kind of moved out of that. Fanatics Live drops, and I'll be honest with you, the market corrected a little bit in the last 6 months, especially 8 months. Fanatics Live's kind of like a little bit more of a ghost town than I expected. Like, there's a lot of times you hop on expecting, oh, let me see what, is there single sales or there's big breaks, this and that. Like, there's not as much going on.
It speaks to the power of momentum. Like, Whatnot just has a strangle on that market, and even though Fanatics has a lot of money behind it, it's going to take time.
Well, what did Whatnot do? So they did not really address the customer service issue that much. What they did was they lowered the bar on what the expectation is to have a channel.
Right.
And they realized... So, like, Whatnot is a massive platform for resellers, not just collectibles. Like, I was introduced to it as a collect sports cards and all this, but there are people that buy storage units or hit up Goodwill, and their thought is, if I sell this pair of jeans that I bought for $5 on eBay, I might get $20 out of it in 3 months, or I could have 50 of these and make $5 on them and make $250 in a half hour, and it's already shipped out.
Right.
What they've done is they've
and roughly
targeted,
the same fees.
Yeah. Whatnot has said this: if you can build an audience, we'll reward you. That's it. If you're bringing an audience in, so we're seeing more and more move to the Whatnot stuff. I think it's really interesting how that's taken off. Everybody that I've talked to is like, "Oh, you should do some content," because they know that I'm like full time doing this reselling stuff. You should do content, and you should get on Whatnot. Haven't done it yet, but it just seems like more and more and more is moving that way.
Yeah.
And now for Fanatics Live, it's like if you want to drop some cash, not that Whatnot doesn't. You see people overpay there all the time. But like you and I were on there yesterday. We've got a guy that has a really nice Facebook group. They have really good stuff that comes through all the time. He like hops on. He's like, I don't know what baseball is, but I'm selling some cards. So
this is how you know how big the room is, and the guy that manages it does well. They just ripped a case of 2023 Bowman. They don't know baseball. They were just like, let's rip it and hold it for a year and then sell stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what they did. And there was some really good stuff that popped off in there for really good prices.
Gary and I might have been. So there's a theme here. He felt like for $70, nobody else should be allowed to bid up. Which, by the way,
not true.
That 70 wasn't going to hold. Once it got to the last, it wouldn't have mattered.
What 70?
So the whatever you paid.
Oh,
to
$85
bucks.
Yeah,
yeah.
Spot.
So whoever spends the most, right? Once it got to the last one, that somebody would have spent $86. Like, it was going to happen.
Maybe.
It was going to happen, bud.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, it's probably going to happen.
Okay.
So that happens, and then Gary's convinced that so this is all Bowman. He's like, I got a lot of numbered stuff and then some autos. And as he was listening, there weren't a lot of bites, so he just started dumping extra cards in. Like, there's 5 seconds left. Here's another card to 150. Here's another, here's another base auto, right? It's all Bowman stuff. Well, finally, there's like 2 or 3 of these, and I'm like, oh, this is perfect for eBay. So Gary jumps on there thinking that if he's bid, nobody that knows him is allowed to bid. You do get that. You do get that way. You do get that way.
That's not true.
So
at all.
I'm bidding, and he's like, "Stop, Jason!" In all caps. Well, my handle doesn't have my name in it, and the guy that's running the show doesn't know baseball. So he's like, "Wait, you don't like this? The guy's name's not Jason. What are you talking about?" Like, he's confused. Now, was I trying to just beat Gary? No. Was that, however, an incentive? Yes. Did I also wait until the auction was at literally like a half of a second before I would bid $1 more than him? Yeah, every time. And I could see him just getting fatigued with it. And I could see how frustrated he was getting. There was a couple lots I hit where you would have gladly spent $10 more and still made your money. But I kind of got under your skin a little bit on that.
So what bothered me about it was not that you were bidding. What bothered me was you waited until you saw whether I was going to bid on something.
That's not true. That's not true.
I know that there were 3 or 4 lots that came through that were solid lots that I chose not to bid on purpose, just to see if you, or Ryan, if you're listening, Ryan, you were doing it too, jerk. Ryan Chirito, not Ryan Black. Anyways.
Okay, so there's a lot of Ryans out there in the world.
Well, there's 2 that I know for sure listen to us, and one of them is Ryan Black, and one of them is Ryan Chirito. Ryan Chirito owns a shop here in Columbus. But in any event, I didn't bid on those. I didn't bid on them at all. And Ryan also doesn't really know baseball super, super well on the prospect side of things. So, and guess neither one of you bid on any of those.
I wasn't
lots.
interested in that one.
Uh-huh.
Well, the other thing that happened was I popped off for 5 or 6 auctions in a row real quick, and I was like, all right, pump the brakes here. Pump the brakes. They're good deals. I mean, they were getting really
for
good
sure.
deals.
I mean, I got a Jefferson Rojas Sparkle to $299.
You got the Cam, right?
I got a Cam Collier base. I got 2 or 3 other things.
Who was the other one that was in there that was a bigger one? Crawford?
Yeah.
But it went for more than...
it went for more than it should. It went for more than the Collier, which blew my mind.
That's the cool thing with Whatnot. So guys that you either... so Gary will know a range on cards. I will know scarcity. And is this a top 50 player? Is this somebody that's been talked about in the last few months? Now, for me, I don't stay on top of it to the point where I know that, hey, they just got called up to this or that, other than a couple names. So my knowledge is not where, but you get sucked into that, and you know a couple other people bidding, you can see why people are spending 5-10% over comps on a lot of stuff. It's fun. It's really fun to hang out in there and do that. Speaking of fun, I'm going to talk about my little baseball experience this week.
Oh yeah, this was really, really cool. I was jealous, not gonna lie.
This was really.
I don't
throw
out the where was my invite very often.
Yeah.
But this was one that I wish I would have had the opportunity for.
So I got invited to join Fanatics Sportsbook for the Guardians game. They have dugout suites. It was earlier this week against the White Sox.
And when he says dugout suites, what he's saying is the suite is literally in the dugout. There's a plexiglass divider between the suite and the players in the dugout. Go ahead.
Like the batter's box is 5 feet from you.
Yeah. Or the on deck circle, you mean?
Yeah. On deck circle. I have been to a lot of baseball games. Probably more than 100.
Yeah.
Major league games. Probably. Maybe not quite, but been to a lot.
A lot.
Been to a lot of stadiums. Been to a lot of cool seats. So whether it's I've just had a tendency to have friends that have cool sports experiences. It just happens a lot. I have never had a better viewing experience of a live game.
Well, just the videos you were sending me were wow.
Pitching. So here's the other thing. Because you're just above ground level. So your head and shoulders, it was the spot where anytime they show the batter looking for a sign or starting to head out to do a couple practice swings before the pitch, between pitches, we're right there. Here's the other thing I'll tell you. If you get those seats, they spoil you. The kids that were in the suite with us, their parents brought them, they were getting free. Nicky Lopez was just handing out autographed baseballs. But there was a particularly funny moment that I need to share.
Because you were on the White Sox dugout, right?
Yeah. So.
This is a great story.
So, we got the buddy of mine snagged our hotel. There's a Ritz-Carlton really close to the stadium. So we stay there. We get parked. As soon as we get there, he's like, I got to go to the bathroom now because he'd been holding it for a while. So we get in the lobby. We haven't even checked in. And I'm kind of out of it. You're a little bit of a road trip. And then out walks Luis Robert. And he's got somebody with him. And it was one of those situations where you know somebody, but he's not in uniform. You're not at a park. But
you don't want to make a big deal.
Yeah.
It'll be cool.
It's
chill.
He looked at me and smiled because he's just being friendly. And that's where you're a little behind, your eyes get real big. And he kind of gave a nod don't just chill out.
Yeah, just be cool.
So it was cool. I was like, oh, the players must be staying here. There was a big coach bus out. I'm guessing they were just getting ready to head out. 2 minutes later, my buddy comes walking out. He's like, dude, I don't know who just left that bathroom, but I'm pretty sure they destroyed it. That was one of the most aggressive things I've ever heard. And I said, well, that's funny you mentioned that because I think Lubob just walked past me. So it's whatever, we could be wrong, but we're pretty sure that that's what happened. So anyway, we get to the game and my buddy, he likes baseball, but he's not like following other teams. Like he's a Reds fan. He knows a lot of the main guys, but somebody that was a rookie a couple years ago that, but for me, that was like a big hobby chase, his rookie year. So I keep a little bit of an eye on him. So he's in the on deck circle, and we've now realized that these seats enable you to just chirp at the players, and they'll talk. They don't care. They're hanging out because they don't like have to look up in the stands. So you're like, you have a different experience altogether. So we're like telling the kids, if you can make one of the players laugh, so they get Gavin Sheets laughing, which he's super friendly, funny.
Oh, and also the friend who took you to this, I need everybody listening to understand. I'm sure you have this person in your life too. And whoever that person is in your life, amplify it times 5. The person in your life who does not care is going to say whatever they want to say or think in a moment.
Especially if it could be funny.
Yes, that's this friend of ours. So anyway, go ahead.
So I was like, hey, buddy, I think that's is that who you saw? Or is that who? And he's like, that's him. That's him. So he starts chirping at him. It's like second or third at bat. He goes, Lou Bob, don't act like I don't know where you were at 3:30 in the hotel lobby doing work. So finally, it's like the third time. He's like, turns around and looks at us like, will you guys shut up about me
taking a shit?
Next thing that happens, he goes up, first pitch, blasted off over the left field fence for a home run. So, yeah. Now, what would be even funnier is if we were completely mistaken.
Right.
And it's like a bullpen catcher. And he's like,
he
was just saying, like, what are these guys talking about? We didn't even stay at that hotel. But in our minds, that's what happened. So, Fanatic Sportsbook hooked it up. Those seats were amazing.
Funny.
If you ever have a chance or an opportunity, whether it's like a work thing or whatever, to do the dugout suites,
do it.
Do it. It was unreal. Watching pitching from that angle, you're seeing the break.
Did Eric Fetty pitch in that game?
I'll be honest, I wasn't paying attention. I just looked at the lineup and I looked at how the Sox have been playing. I was like, this is going to be
stomp.
Yeah.
But it ended up being a walk-off.
Yeah.
At the end, it was a close
Called
game,
you guys
right?
live for it.
Yeah, like we were watching it live.
Yeah.
So, anyhow, a really cool experience for you.
Yep. Can't recommend it enough. Also, a little bit of Nana Nana Boo Boo, stick your head in doo-doo.
Yeah.
When you get to do something cool like that.
Yeah.
So, I've met my quota on like cool sporting events for the month.
Right. Product releases this week.
Yeah.
Tier 1.
Tier 1. So it seems like if there ever feels like there's a bit of a drought in a product, people will always ask, like, is this product worth it? Like that's a very general question that a lot of people ask. Is the product worth it? Well,
I hate the question.
It's the wrong question. Worth it for what?
Exactly.
So I don't have it pulled up on here.
Is it worth it to buy a product and hope you're going to make money and flipping stuff immediately?
What's a hobby box of that run? You know?
$400, I think.
Let me see.
Let's see. I'll tell you exactly. 2024 Tier 1 hobby box. Let's see who's faster.
You are. You guys.
$300.
Okay, that's actually a little bit better than I expected. And then what's the how's this product built out? How many cards is in this?
I believe it's a 4-card box.
2 autographs per box.
Yeah.
1 relic card. Now, this product, Tier 1, has bat knobs, barrel relics. So the barrels are like the big push this year that you've probably seen some photos of on Instagram. So people are asking, $325. Is the product worth it? If you're just bored and wanting to open a random product, I'm probably going to say no.
It's a scratch-off ticket, 100%.
Yeah.
You might get absolutely waxed.
You might get $100 worth of cards.
You might get $20 worth of cards.
Probably not, but it can definitely happen.
Yeah.
Now, what is this product really good for? I really like products like this. If you wait about a month, maybe 2 months, obviously you're going to play off of baseball, so it's going to depend on the player. But this is a really good product to find a good PC card, a player that you like, a card you want to collect, a card you want to hang on to that's really unique. You could find, I think I saw it was a Soto where it like had the logo of the Old Hickory on it. Some of them have the embossed name of the player. Like
I love the bat knob cards.
Yeah.
The vertical bat knob cards I absolutely love. I know they're not everybody's favorite, but I think they're awesome.
Yeah, so at $325, you're probably not going to make money, but you could find a really cool card worth way less than half of the value of the box.
Well, it's the same. The question that you said at the very beginning of this, when people ask that, if you're ripping hobby boxes with the intent of making profit on them, you're doing it wrong.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, that's just not. Now, could you get lucky and hit that little scratch off? Sure, absolutely. But if you want to collect Tier 1 cards, like Jason said, just wait a month and buy singles.
And I think there's a lot of you that you're not necessarily saying you need to make money, but you just want to know, am I about to get destroyed with this box where there's no value?
Anytime you have a box that has less than 5 cards in the box,
it's a chance.
There's a damn good chance you're going to get waxed.
Now, so let's talk about what the bigger hits are. I think I saw some of the bigger names. I think it was a Soto I was looking at. I've seen a couple for sale. I've seen people asking 800, but like the big hits, you're maybe get probably like 600 is a better number.
Yeah, probably, unless
There's
it's like
be
the one-of-ones, the bat barrels.
Ellie will have a couple monsters.
Yeah, and some of the retired players will too. Like they'll have I don't know the checklist, but you might, like a few years ago, there was a Babe Ruth bat barrel in Tier 1 and a Babe Ruth bat knob in Tier 1. I think one of them, the horizontal one, was like a bat barrel and a cut Babe Ruth auto. That's a $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 card.
Yeah.
But realistically, your $325 investment's probably going to net you $120 to $140.
Yeah.
So if you're doing it for that reason, just wait and buy the singles you want for $120 to $150.
Or you probably, like, for $325, you could probably buy one of the bigger hits in the whole product.
Yeah, well, that's what I say. Like, so for example, say you really want that Juan Soto bat barrel that's numbered to 3 and it's $600. Are you going to get that in 2 boxes of this stuff for sure? Because if not, you might as well just go pay the $600 for it and call it a day.
Now, it's a pretty product. I don't like the logo.
Yeah, I'm with you. The logo looks very dated.
I'm just trying
Speaking of logos, while you're looking that up, everybody, we started the rollout of our new branding this week. It will transition into Facebook this week as well. But on your podcast platforms, you should start seeing the new logo come up. We'd love to hear your thoughts on it. We're not going to change it because of your thoughts, but we'd still like to hear your thoughts.
Yeah. Okay, so there's actually some really good vet names in here.
Yep.
Just going through the autographs, not all the relics at all, but Beltre, Pujols, Bo Jackson, Buster Posey, which massive collector base for Posey.
A-Rod.
Kershaw, Cal Ripken Jr.
Yep.
Jeter. Let's see.
Frank Thomas.
Dave Winfield. He signed a few products. Maddox, Ichiro. So, I mean, I'm just looking through here, like, there's really some cool vets. The other thing
Piazza,
is
Schmidt,
whenever
Brian.
the autograph checklist is this big, Sosa, Roland, Robin Yount.
They are on card.
Yep.
So everybody's aware. They are on card.
Randy Johnson. So that's a pretty good checklist, which tells me, like, if it's a high volume checklist of vets, you probably get a pretty decent price on it.
But like that Judge bat knob that was up there, that's an amazing card. Red bat knob. Come on.
It's actually, this checklist is a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be.
No, it's a big, it's not a small set at all. Like very few products that are coming out right now are small sets because they're trying to.
Ooh.
What'd you find? The dual.
Okay, so let me read. Hold on now. Here's some dual auto combinations. So there's a Schmidt Brett dual auto.
That's nasty.
I'm just looking at vets.
Ellie and Tatis.
Yep. Andrew Jones, Michael Harris. If I'm a Braves fan, that's probably a pretty cool auto to pull out there.
Yeah, but I'd rather have the Chipper Andrew.
Yeah.
Judge and Jeter. Come on.
Glavin Maddox. That's a big one.
Yeah.
Piazza, Smith, Will Smith, whatever. Dawson and Tim Raines. That's pretty cool.
Soto Machado is pretty cool. It's not as cool as my Soto Acuna, but still pretty cool.
Here's a card I would
love for the PC.
And honestly, I would sit on, I think here's the bargain. Here's what I would, if I was picking a card out of here.
Okay.
That's going to cost a little bit. There's a dual auto Felix Hernandez, Julio Rodriguez. I was blown away by the Felix Hernandez collector base. They fetch his autos.
Well, because anybody who knows baseball knows he should have already been in the Hall of Fame, and he didn't get enough votes to stay on the ballot. He won't have his opportunity till the Veterans Committee.
Yeah,
which is ridiculous. And then they have triple autos too. Oh, Pedro Clemens, Randy Johnson.
Yeah,
come on.
Judge Jeter Mattingly.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Volpe, Gunner, and Bobby Witt.
Okay,
that's nasty too. I'm still not paying $325 for a box, but
but we're just going through. There's a ton on here. I know it sounds like we're getting paid by Fanatics. I wish that was the case, but we are not.
Marlon Brando has a cut auto in this.
Winston Churchill.
Ulysses S. Grant.
What the heck? Oh, man.
Norman Rockwell. I want the Norman Rockwell. I'm not going to lie. That's
Stan
awesome.
Lee.
Orville Wright.
If it was Orville Redenbacher.
Jimmy Carter. He's about dead. George Bush and George Patton. Like, we got some stuff. We got some stuff in this set.
Yeah. That is awesome.
Yeah, no part of that is bad to know about.
So you could lose money on that, but you could also hit something amazing. Is what we're trying to say.
Right. Oh, and before we wrap things up here, I know we've hit a lot of things. One other subject that I wanted to bring to our listeners' attention because it's extremely, extremely interesting to me, and I think it's going to have a really big impact, not just on the hobby, but on youth baseball. So, and I preface all this by saying that this is all coming from a very well-sourced, and we're not journalists, but I'm going to try to be as journalistic from an integrity standpoint here as I can be. Everything that I'm going to tell you right now are accusations that are being made legally. However, the preponderance of evidence that I have
we're not going to say preponderance.
Not preponderance?
I'm gonna
Okay.
That's the last legal big word you're using. Right?
Okay. So the amount of evidence that I have seen leads me to believe that there is, at the very least, a lot of smoke here. There may not be fire, but I'd be shocked if there isn't fire. So, if any of you listening have kids that play youth baseball, you have undoubtedly heard of Perfect Game. And if you are a collector of sports cards, you've also probably undoubtedly heard of Perfect Game because Leaf has had a Perfect Game set for a very long time. Now, Perfect Game as an organization has over the years been accused of a lot of different things, but now somebody's actually blowing the whistle on this stuff. And I got his permission to use his name. It's all public anyway. You can go check the filings. But Joshua Kuznick, who is a former Major League agent, current stand-up comedian, and dabbles in sports collectibles, high-end rare autograph stuff. Anyways, he was brought into that organization a couple of years ago to help them develop their own product to get out of their contract with Leaf. They made him privy to a lot of things, including within one day of meeting him, sending him the NDA-filled contract between them and Leaf, which he has since dropped publicly. Perfect Game is doing a lot of really interesting things, including selling all of the contact information for everybody who's ever gone through their program, including current major leaguers. I'm not going to drop names, but if you want to see, you can just go to r/baseball on Reddit. And there's a huge info dump that happened last night. This is going to get real interesting real fast. I know there are major media outlets that are in the process of gathering information to do this story. We are dropping it in a public forum first. Our listening audience is nothing compared to Darren Ravel and Jeff Passan and guys at ESPN and everywhere else. But we do have listeners. And this is going to be very interesting. The tactics that Perfect Game has used for many years basically involve getting parents and children to sign away their name, image, and likeness rights in perpetuity to Perfect Game, who then use those. They take these kids, put them in rooms, make them sign thousands of stickers with no compensation whatsoever, tell them that it's part of their entry into the Perfect Game showcases and tournaments. So they owed Josh a bunch of money, and they didn't pay him. So he made a request for the money. They didn't pay him. Had his attorney send off a request for the money. They did not pay him. So he started leaking a lot of this stuff. Then they sued him for slander and libel, except he has all the receipts. So now he has countersued them, and it's going to get very interesting very quickly. Long story short, the hobby's going to have some impact from this stuff because all you guys that are out there ultra prospecting, like trying to catch these guys when they're still in high school and buy stuff for pennies and then capitalize on it, that may be going away. And it's very similar to like Panini with Team USA Baseball, the U18 guys. It's very similar. So there's some predatory practices happening that are being brought to light, and it's going to shake up a lot of things. In my opinion, the youth baseball landscape is going to be altered drastically by this. Either Perfect Game is going to completely change the way they do things, or another entity is going to come along and replace Perfect Game, because this is bad. It's not good.
Yeah. So I think back it up a little bit. Is there another example of something like Perfect Game in any other sports that at that age is getting them to agree to sign away this stuff?
No.
Is it are there accusations that it's deceptive, or is it more of a thing like, hey, you're so young, like
it's completely deceptive?
Okay.
It is literally
it's accused of being deceptive.
Yes, it's accused of being deceptive.
Thank
but
you.
the way that this stuff works is, and again, these organizations like Perfect Game, in football, it's some of the scouting services and the recruiting services that are predatory like that. But companies like Perfect Game, the way that they have consolidated their power is by basically going to colleges and to pro teams and saying, hey, we're going to provide you a place where you don't have to send your scouts on a 70-day road trip to go see 35 high school baseball games. We're just going to have these showcases, and you can send your guys and see 200 kids at once. And then they charge exorbitant fees to parents for these kids to be in these tournaments and in these showcases. And they will take anybody. They're not trying to like filter out good talent versus bad talent. And then they will do promo video. I saw a promo video of a kid that was being touted as a top prospect in the 2026 class. When I tell you it was laughable, I don't know what to say. Like, I wasn't good at baseball, and my swing and my movements in the field were better than this kid's.
Yeah.
But they hype these parents up, and they've convinced these parents that this is the only way that their kids are going to get that D1 scholarship or that D2 scholarship. You got to spend thousands of dollars with us, and then by the way, here's your entry paperwork. You need to sign off all this. Oh, hey, by the way, if you're a kid we actually think has talent, you're going to be shuttled over here, and you're going to come into this room. We got about 3,000 stickers we need your autograph on. Mm-hmm. Oh, are we getting paid for that? No, it's part of your contract. It's just what we do here. And then they take that stuff and make money off of it.
Have there been any parents that have, testimony, we're not obviously at that point, but have made any content explaining that this happened with their kid?
Not yet, because it's just now getting whistleblown. Okay. Like, most of these...
How many years has this been going on?
Years. A long time. Like 20,
okay.
25. And like right now, you can go, and after this lawsuit dropped, they may have taken it down, but until 2 days ago, you could go to Perfect Game's website, and if you knew where to go, if you had $799, you could buy the contact information. Name, address, email address, phone number. For every player that's come through the Perfect Game system. You want to know how to get to Paul Skeen's house? You can have it.
Yeah.
You want to know how to get to Eric Hosmer's house? You can have it.
Yeah.
And they're selling that information. And these people aren't getting compensated for it anyway. It's just straight to their pockets.
But it sounds like it was in the contract, correct?
Correct, but is it legal to execute a contract to sign away the NIL rights of a minor?
Yeah. Well, I guess mom and dad probably signed that.
Yeah, but mom and dad can't sign away the NIL rights of a minor. Mm-hmm. That's been proven in Hollywood with kids suing their parents after the fact, that's not legal.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a very interesting case. It's going to be a very interesting thing. And I will say this, because the whistleblower is a person that I know, and I got his permission to talk about this before we did. He doesn't care. You can't trash him because in his words, he 8-miled himself years ago. He has nothing to lose. And for him, it's not about the money. For him, it's when he gets his teeth sunk into what he feels is a justice thing, it doesn't matter. He's going to fight it all the way to the end. So it should be an interesting thing. If you want to follow along, his socials will have all the stuff. Go to r/baseball on Reddit, and you can dig into the Leaf and Perfect Game contract that has been posted for everybody to see. It's all out there, man.
It is. It's going to be a wild story, I think.
Yes.
I'm like nervous to talk about it. 'Cause that's how.
That's why when we talked about whether we were going to talk about it, I was like, we need to make sure that this is what you talk about. These are accusations.
Yep.
But I have seen the paperwork, and I can tell you that if I was on a jury, the defense would have a hard time convincing me anything different.
It could get really interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Do we have anything else today?
I don't think so. I think we tacked it all in there.
You're going to be down at the Great American Ballpark tonight. Yeah,
I am going to see the Reds, and then tomorrow morning.
Who are the Reds taking on?
I don't even know who we have tonight. I've been so excited about the 3-game sweep of the Yankees that I don't even care who we play.
Did you see the standoff after the anthem?
Yeah, it was really cool.
Graham won that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Awesome.
But no, we're going down there, and then I get up early Saturday morning and head to Troy for the 2-day show there at the Troy Fairgrounds at the Miami County Fairgrounds. So if you are up in the west to slightly northwest part of Ohio and you don't have anything to do, you want to come check out a card show this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. I'll be there. Come say hi.
Got the Tigers tonight.
Oh, that should be fun.
Yeah.
That should be fun.
Should be home runs up there.
Yeah. The Tigers have some sneaky guys this year that are having really good years that you're not paying attention to.
Yeah. All right. Well, this has been the Ball Card Show, the Sports Podcast.
For the Sports Collector.
Bye now.
Peace.